All right, we go out now to the Toyota of Hollywood guest
When
line.
did
Over
anybody take
1,500
us
Toyotas
serious?
indoors in one of America's largest showrooms at Toyota of Hollywood on 441 between Hollywood and Sheridan. How can anybody not take us serious after our mock drafter of the week intro? We will talk to Cody Benjamin from CBS Sports. I bet you've never got an intro like that, Cody. How about that?
You know what? I was going to comment on it myself. I mean, guys, I have not heard that anywhere, and I don't think I'm going to run into something like that anywhere else. So I appreciate it, and I'm glad to be on with you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. All right, Cody. So look, when it's draft week, is this like Christmas for you? Are you as excited as it gets because it's finally a few days away? Like what is the mood when you wake up on a Monday morning of draft week?
Well, I certainly think it's up there. There's a few things. I mean, I think kickoff weekend is usually up there. You know, finally just getting the freshness of football again, and then free agency has always been a big one. Although, you know, not so much. I guess depending on ever since the NFL kind of instituted the legal tampering, it's kind of spread that out a little bit. But yeah, the draft. I mean, I think the biggest thing that's fun about it finally being the week is that look, mock drafts are fun. But, I mean, people have been pouring these out, churning them out for months. I mean, some people since last year. And so it's finally exciting to finally be on the precipice of actually seeing, draft picks made instead of just kind of talking endlessly about where teams are looking.
Yeah, because we've gotten to the point, I think we've gotten so delirious. We're now betting each other for what draft picks may be. So if I could bring you up to speed, Cody, on where we are this morning. Leroy Hoard, former Browns running back, my co-host. He is very against the idea of the Miami Dolphins taking Devontae Smith. But he is so against it and so it would be so outraged. He has declared on our virtual draft party, which is coming up on Thursday, 8 o'clock, theticketmiami.com, that if the Miami Dolphins select Devontae Smith at number 6 with Jamar Chase and Kyle Pitts still on the board, that he will strip down and do the remainder of the first round of that show in his underwear. How safe do you think he is from this declaration? Is there any shot in hell that if those three guys were available at number 6, that Slim Reaper would be the guy? Or do you think Leroy Hoard will be safe and will be fully clothed on Thursday?
I mean, my gut instinct is he's very safe. Now, draft night always brings there's always, in the top 5, top 10, and obviously beyond that too, but there's always one or two picks that just shakes up the entire board where, it's pick number 7, it's pick number 8, and all of a sudden a corner who you thought was going outside the top 15, something like that. And Devontae Smith is one of the, if you're going to pick a guy that's going to polarize people, justifiably or not, it's probably him because the production is there, the attitude's there, everything is there except for that size, which is unprecedented. And so, I mean, if you were to ask me, I think, the obvious safe bet is that if Jamar Chase is there or Kyle Pitts is there, honestly, it's probably either they take Chase, they take Pitts, or they trade out to someone who wants one of those before they take Devontae Smith at number 6. That's just my opinion.
Cody, I noticed in your mock draft.
It's a sound opinion. Like these knuckleheads that think 166 pounds don't matter is crazy. And correct me if I'm wrong, Cody, but this is the only time of year in football where we play the looks like game. And most of the time, guys are getting drafted because they look like something that you've seen and they look the part. If you don't look the part, it is considered more of a reach to take somebody who may be very talented. And this is not a question of whether Devontae Smith is going to be good. This is a question of his prospects. Is he a big enough prospect to go in the top 10? And that 166 pounds says no. That's it.
Well, I mean, you're on the other side of it. You're going to have people that say, and I'm with you. I honestly think if you're at 6, there's a better chance that the Dolphins would take somebody like Jay. I mean, it really depends what you want in your wide receiver too. But I mean, let's just say a neutral team selecting at number 6. I think there's a better chance, and a lot of people have mocked this, that Jalen Waddle, his teammate, is going to go earlier and probably deserves that top 10 selection. I mean, a lot of the, if you just read the scouting reports, you see how they play. And again, Devontae Smith, 5 years from now, we might be talking about him like, wow, why did we write off his size? I mean, this guy's got Antonio Brown level route running ability. He's got the mental toughness. He's got everything. But, right here, right now, as prospects, that's all we can look at him as. And Jalen Waddle is kind of projects as that weapon, whereas Devontae Smith projects more as like a really, really good, technically sound wide receiver. And that's, is that top 10 caliber? If you're the Dolphins and you're trying to make Tua Tagovailoa very comfortable, you're trying to keep it an efficient offense, maybe a guy like Devontae Smith makes sense. I still think at number 6, you're looking for more of a home run hitter. And that's a guy like a Jamar Chase who brings maybe a bigger package. You're looking at a Kyle Pitts, or you're looking at Jalen Waddle. But I think you're right that like the comparisons size-wise. I mean, I've seen Deshaun Jackson thrown out there. I mean, they are not the same player at all. I mean, Deshaun Jackson takes the top off of defenses, and he got away with his size because he could do that. Devontae Smith, while he can go deep, his specialty, unlike Jalen Waddle, is more of that crisp, technically sound. I'm gonna get in out of my routes, and I'm gonna be a friend of the quarterback.
Cody, I noticed in your mock draft you had the Bengals taking Kyle Pitts at 5. Now everyone seems to think it's going to be either Sewell or Joe Burrow's teammate Jamar Chase, but you had him going with Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, I think honestly, and again, I mean, what do they need more? I think this is more just again, everyone's mock draft, it's kind of a balance between what do you think fits for them and what do you think they actually will do. And I just think that we're kind of dismissing the possibility a little bit. I mean, tons of mocks. It's one or the other. It's either the offensive line or the wide receiver. Well, I mean, what about right in the middle? I mean, Kyle Pitts, who might line up on the offensive line a few times at tight end, but he can also play wide receiver. I think that's a guy that you look at the Bengals depth chart. I mean, it's not really deep at tight end. I mean, Joe Burrow doesn't have a weapon there either. And so if you're looking at the offensive line depth in this class, I mean, we get so caught up in looking at these first-round mock drafts, we forget. You remember, there's 6 other rounds where these teams can address needs. And so you're looking at guys at the back end of the first round that might slide into the top of the second. I think Cincinnati there's a chance where they could see a tackle guard that might be available for them in round 2. And they say, hey, if at 5, that's in the scenario where Kyle Pitts is available, this might be the best prospect in the class. He can play receiver. He can be a safety valve for Joe Burrow. I just think it certainly wouldn't be off the table if he was there.
Cody, I want to ask you about another team that could kind of mess this all up. That's Atlanta. And how teams view this draft will also have a lot to do with what's available next year. And do you think Atlanta would be making a mistake by not looking for Matt Ryan's replacement because the draft is so deep at quarterback this year that if they take somebody else and hope they stumble upon a quarterback next year, that's not really a sound move?
Right. No, I think you have to throw in the caveat that, look, Mac Jones, Joe Burrow, guys like that, even Trey Lance. I mean, some of these guys a year out from the next draft, no one has them on the board as kind of options at the top of the draft. So, there's probably 3 or 4 quarterbacks right now that we're not talking about that might end up being 2022 top 15 prospects. At the same time, I think you're absolutely correct. I mean, if you're asking me, I think it is a mistake. If you're the Falcons at 4 and you like one of those quarterbacks and one of those quarterbacks is there, presumably if we're to believe the reports about the Niners kind of narrowing it to Mac Jones and Trey Lance at 3, presumably that's going to be Justin Fields or whoever's left over from San Francisco. I think if Justin Fields or Trey Lance is there, I mean, if I'm Atlanta, and I'm not Atlanta, but if I were, I would take them. And I know Matt Ryan, is, quarterbacks can play, close to their 40s these days. Arthur Smith is there and probably has a plan for him. Could they be competitive this year? Probably. And the contract isn't great to get out of beyond this season. But I think that, if you look at Matt Ryan, I look at him a little bit like Matthew Stafford the last few years. I mean, has he been great? Not really. Has he been a good quarterback when he's got protection and everything? Yeah, but at the end of the day, this is a new regime. Like you said, you can't plan to just be in the position to pick fourth, a top 5 pick next year. So even if let's just say there's 3 really good quarterbacks at the top of the draft next year. I mean, if the Falcons are even somewhat competitive this year, they're going to be out of that. So they're going to have to trade back up if they want one. So I think you just look at a guy like Justin Fields. I mean, he's the total package. I mean, if Arthur Smith can't work with his ability to read the field, then he probably shouldn't be the coach. I think that it has to be on the table for Atlanta.
We're talking to Cody Benjamin from CBS Sports. Now, for the Miami Dolphins, we've paid so much attention to possible trades with their first-round pick, which, I mean, they've already obviously done some moving with that. And Chris Greer got wheeling and dealing early on. But you in your mock draft have the Miami Dolphins actually trading their second first-round pick, trading back a couple slots from 18 to 22 and picking up Najee Harris. So one, why do you have it shaken out like that? And what do you think they could get for that? And two, why Najee Harris? I mean, there's been some debate about who is, the more complete back, Najee or Travis Etienne. Like what about Najee that makes him first round worthy and you think a good fit for the Miami Dolphins?
Yeah, first of all, on the trade, I think that there's just, it's kind of that sweet spot. And honestly, there probably should have been, if we're going exactly how I would think it will go, I mean, I would put more mock trades in there. But I think that they're kind of in that sweet spot close to the 20s where there's going to be some teams that are sitting around there that have some picks with an ability to move up. I mean, that Tennessee is one. Chicago is right behind them. The Colts are a possibility. The Jets. I mean, there's quite a few teams that could be looking to move up. I mean, you look at the Browns as another one. So I think it's just a sweet spot, and especially if you are going to be targeting a running back, I don't know that you have to worry a ton about, moving down and losing out on Najee Harris. And if you don't get him, there's another running back or two that might be worth the pick. Personally, I don't know how you guys feel about the running back in the first round deal, but I think you could stand to wait to address the position. Personally, I mean, when I did the first mock draft that I did this offseason, I think that somebody like a linebacker or a pass rusher, somebody they can move around Brian Flores' defense, I think that would be maybe more of an ideal first round pick. But in this scenario, I mean, where you're sliding down, maybe adding another pick, and you still get a running back there, I think Najee Harris, why he makes sense is, he's got the build, he's got the skill set to kind of be more of a workhorse that Tua can lean on. And obviously the connection there going to Alabama, I think there's a little bit of there'd be some familiarity there. Honestly, 18. I know my colleague at CBS, Jason LaCanfora, he's reported several times he's heard that Najee Harris at 18 is a very real possibility. Personally, I'd like to drop down a little bit if I could to still make that happen.
He's Cody Benjamin, CBSSports.com. Fantastic job as our mock drafter of the week. Enjoy this week, Cody, and thanks for giving us some time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Cody.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, guys.